So this is the behavioural design and analysis canvas and toolkit, and also the set of instructions. Process is relatively simple, but first you have to have an understanding of the behaviour that you don't want, the one that is happening at present or has happened in the past, and this is the behaviour that you're not too keen on and that you want something to be different. Now that different behaviour is your future behaviour. A little bit of context up here to set around the site or office, wherever this is, around who are the key performers, the supervision or management, the actual area, project or site, whatever the actual task is itself, and any other relevant conditions. Now inside the box we have a behavioural cheat sheet, we have a record book for recording your findings, and we have a book that is of the information that you need to refresh yourselves, if that is what you need, to do after attending one of our workshops. In the box are 72 different question cards. These correspond with the sections on the canvas. So we have A, B, C and D, and these are your exploration tools, your exploration of the behaviours for both the analysis and the design. The first part of the process is to analyse the behaviour that you don't want to happen. Work out why it is actually happening. Now to do this we've got 18 questions that we run through. The facilitator runs through the questions and asks the questions whether they're relevant to this or not. If they're not relevant, they go in the no pile. If you're not sure, they kind of go into the hold pile. But if you're definitely sure they're applicable to why this behaviour was appealing to the performer, then they go in the pile here. And so you're finding ones that aren't applicable. So you're asking for everybody's consensus about why these things. So this one, for example, it's easier. It was of peer pressure. It was quicker. Those kind of things. Okay. This is just looks generic, very generic. There is no detail, specific detail other than here and across the top about why this is actually happening or about what your reasons are for choosing these cards. So for every card here, you then put a post-it down, and this one says it was easier, so you write on here why it's easier. This is what makes it specific. So you work from left to right, as I'm facing it here. You go through these next questions, which are how to discourage the behaviour happening next. So again, it's the same process. You ask the questions. If they're not applicable, you put them in the no cards, no pile. If they are applicable, you put them in the big space here. And if you're not sure, if you want to discuss them later, you put them back in the hold. Now these ones are specifically to design in obstacles. Obstacles to try and discourage this present behaviour from happening, the behaviour that you don't want. And this is where your design element comes in. So this is your analysis element, and this is your actual design element. Post-its are really important because this is how you say you're going to do what you're going to do. For example, this card says, introduce timely deterrence. So if you chose this card as a way of discouraging this behaviour from happening, you would have to say, well, how? So we will introduce timely deterrence by... so you do that for every card in this obstacle section. Now we move on to this section, which is for the future behaviour that isn't happening. There must be a reason why this behaviour isn't happening, and we use these cards to explore why that is. Why is this behaviour not happening at present? We go through and we stick the post-its on. Again, putting the reasons why. We then move to the final section here, D, which is how can we make this behaviour more appealing to the performer? Again, the exact same process. Have regular conversations about at-risk and reduced-risk behaviours. Modelling the desired behaviour yourself, if you are that manager, how many of the actual leaders are modelling the actual behaviour. Increasing the feedback and adjustment from supervisors. All of these things are the encouragement for this new behaviour to happen. How are we going to do this? How are we going to increase the feedback? It's alright just saying these things on the cards, all very good ideas, but how are we going to actually do this? And this is where the conversations come in from the rest of the people in the crowd, in that workshop that you're having, to give ideas about how you're going to actually do this. Now, once you have this populated with all your ideas for your final analysis and design, you pick 4 from column A, 4 from column B, 4 from column C, and 4 from column D. This is because we want to narrow that focus, we want to make the design and the analysis succinct so we can communicate it easily, so we can implement it easily. The key to this is coming up with something that actually physically changes the interaction between the people that you're working with, people that are working with you, for the company, and the environment they're in. Some of those changes will be physical changes to the environment, some of those changes will be changes to the actual interaction with supervision or peers and how they interact as well. But this is where your final design happens. You enter it back into the record book there, and you then communicate that to the people who need to know and also to the people that can help you implement your design. And that is how to conduct a behavioural analysis and design.